quite possibly the most important thing that you can do when you're going to go into the full-time RV life is downsize.
You got to figure out what you're going to keep, what you're going to get rid of.
RVs just do not have room for your stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. Hi, I'm Felix.
And I'm Cindy.
And we are the Roaming Gomes.
In 2019, we changed our lives. We went from living in a 3-bedroom duplex, what we now call sticks and bricks, to living in our RV full time.
We've seen everything from driving in heavy rains, breaking down on the side of the road, to being able to see the Grand Canyon and Sedona. And we wouldn't change a thing. And if you are interested in the full-time RV life, then you should hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. And let's all do this together.
Today we're going to talk about how we went from that 3-bedroom duplex to living in our RV. First thing we had to do was downsize. Get rid of the things we really didn't need, a lot of things we really didn't want, so we could fit our family into the RV.
I mean, let's be real here. I mean, there's no way you can fit a 1,200, 1,400 square foot duplex into a 300 square foot RV. So the first thing we had to do, and the first thing that we're going to tell you that you're going to have to do, is change your mental state. You need to change the way you think about the things you own. I don't know who it was that said it, and I'll look it up and I'll actually put it in this video, but there was a quote that I've come to love, which went, "There comes a time when the things you own begin to own you."
And a lot of us accumulate a lot of things over our lives. I mean, we were only together 5 years, 4 years when we started this lifestyle, and we had already accumulated closets full of things.
I mean, to be honest, we were bringing together 2 households. I was living on my own, Cindy was living on her own. So we all had our own stuff, and then we accumulated stuff together. So, yeah, and that's the thing with a lot of older couples. You tend to have a lot of very sentimental things that you want to hang on to, and, you know, things that have memories attached.
I kept them for their sentimental value.
And a lot of those things you can still hang on to.
And we sometimes have inherited our parents' ideas of, I might need it one day.
Oh, I might need it.
I can't get rid of that. I might need it one day. And if I do that, if I get rid of it, I'll have to buy another one. So we just hang on to stuff.
Which, quite honestly, and be honest with yourselves, and drop a comment if you've got something around your house that you've done that with, where you've talked about, I need to hang on to this, and tell us whether or not you've ever actually had to use it.
Yeah.
I know, and I'm not putting anything on you. I've done the same. Now, a lot of people will say that they go on the road, they take what they can, put it in the RV, and they get themselves a storage unit when they've sold their house. I absolutely 100%, and I believe Cindy agrees with me, disagree with doing that.
There are so many Americans who have so much stuff that ends up in storage units that they never ever even open to see again. The only reason you'd really need a storage unit is if there's something specific that's there that you can't take with you, but you know for a fact you're coming back to get at a specific time or a specific date, that there's a real purpose for it. But to store things just to be storing them is really a waste of money.
I can't tell you the number of people that we've spoken to that are full-time RVers now that went and got themselves a storage unit when they left their houses behind and ended up having to go back to where they used to live and get rid of everything in the storage unit and dump the storage unit.
Yeah, I watch Storage Wars too.
The whole point is to get rid of the things you don't need, the things that you don't use. And when we first started doing it, it was a little difficult sometimes to look at something and go, do we need it? Don't we need it?
Look, I'm going to be honest and open here. I did not want to get rid of my boat. I did not want to get rid of a lot of the paraphernalia that I had in my man cave. I don't think you wanted to get rid of a lot of the stuff that you had in your she shed.
Yeah, I was working on a dollhouse that I had put a lot of hours into it.
Yeah. So, yeah, we are definitely right there with you. We understand. But we had to change that mindset. That stuff was actually like an anchor. It was keeping us in that one spot and keeping us from the adventure and freedom that we've experienced since.
We had to keep in mind what the goal was. Why did we want to go on the road? Why did we want to be full-time? And you have to establish your why. If this is something that you're considering or something that you think you want to do, you have to know why. Why do you want to live in an RV? Why do you want to travel? What is it you want to see? Brainstorm about those things together, and so you're both on the same page, for one thing. And so when the times get hard and you're thinking, I don't know if I can part with my boat, you can say, but this is for a reason. We've got a goal. We've got somewhere we're going. We've got a lot of places we're going.
And I think it surprised both of us that once we started, it started getting easier.
Yeah, by the end, I was like, just get rid of all this stuff. We don't want it.
I mean, when it was just right before we were going to go on the road, and basically we had all our yard sales, we'd made all our sales on Facebook Marketplace and on Craigslist, and we'd given a bunch of stuff to our kids and our friends. We still had a bunch of stuff left, and we ended up renting a U-Haul van and taking either 2 or 3 full loads to Goodwill.
That shows you right there how much you can accumulate when you don't even realize it. When you start taking things out of closets and cabinets and realizing there's so much stuff we don't even use.
I mean, be honest, how many people have you heard say, boy, I didn't know how much stuff I had until I had to move it? And that's really the mindset change that you need to make. You need to know what it is you have and be using it. Now, a consideration that you have to have when you're going into the full-time RV life is something that you don't have to have in sticks and bricks, and that is weight and storage space. When you're in a sticks and bricks, you can always find some place to put something. Okay, from putting more deck boxes outside or storage sheds.
Or building shelves and
putting it up in the attic or whatever. You don't have that option in an RV. You've got a certain set, limited amount of storage space, and that's further held down by weight limitations. Every RV, no matter if they're a super luxurious RV or just the cheapest secondhand RV you get, has a weight limitation. If you exceed that weight limitation, you run the risk of bending your axles, breaking your springs, or doing damage to your tires.
And your tow vehicle. If you're using a tow behind RV like we have, you have to take into consideration what that tow vehicle can actually pull.
And here's a little tip for you. When you're looking at an RV, the weight that's listed on the RV itself, that is what's called the dry weight. That dry weight doesn't include things like full propane tanks, full freshwater tanks, a lot of things, and it doesn't include any of your stuff. The weight that you're seeing is the weight right out of the factory.
Felix talked earlier about sentimental things that a lot of people hang on to, and one of those things is pictures. Everybody has pictures. I had just inherited, even though my mother is still here, I had just inherited all of her photo albums and my grandmother's photo albums right before we decided to change to this lifestyle. So I had tubs of photo albums that went back to my grandmother's life. And of course, I didn't want to throw them away. I didn't want to get rid of them.
I had just received a couple of boxes from my sister of photos from my family from decades ago. And again, like Cindy, I didn't want to just toss them.
And of course, because we weren't having any storage area anywhere, there was nowhere to put them. We certainly weren't going to put tubs of photo albums in the RV. I mean, that's ridiculous to haul that around with us. So,
And we wouldn't have had any room,
yeah.
especially in that RV we were living in then.
Yeah. So we decided to scan everything. We scanned everything. This technology is great when it does something great for you and it's not breaking down. We used just a basic scanner and spent a lot of hours scanning things into Dropbox and
Google Drive.
and we are able to save those things and we can go back and look at them anytime we want to, and we don't even have to open a box. We can just open our laptops.
And that goes to the mindset change we talked about earlier. People our age are a little bit slow to embrace technology. And you don't be slow to embrace technology. It's wonderful. I mean, I still have now, Cindy still has now, all of those nostalgic photos available to us. And if we want to print one out, we download it, we print it out.
So you're able to save all those things without taking up any space at all.
Now, I said earlier that the last thing I wanted to do was see my boat rolling out of the driveway. But, in a way, when I watched it roll away and it rolled past the RV, because we had already brought the RV home, it was in the driveway, and the guy who bought it pulled it right out of the driveway and went right past the RV. You're watching it right here. When it was gone, he had pulled out of the driveway, and quite honestly, to be open, the boat was one of the last things to go. He pulled out of the driveway, went down the street, and when he turned the corner and was out of sight, it almost felt like a weight was lifted off me.
Yeah, part of that thing about your things owning you is when you have a lot of stuff, you have to keep up with it. You have to keep things maintained. You have to keep them clean. You have to keep them in working order. So when you don't have those things, it frees up so much of your time, your mental space, that you don't have to take care of those things anymore.
And like I said, with the boat being one, probably the last big item that went, it was like somebody had taken off that anchor. And now I was free. I was free to get in that RV with my wife, our kids, and head out on the open road.
Which was our goal in the first place. It was a journey. It was somewhat emotional at times. It was very exhausting at times because I was still working and we were trying to get all this stuff sold or given away or organized.
And for a part of it, I was still working too. So.
Yeah. So, but at the end, it was so worth it. It was so worth it. And today, it's still worth it because we have seen parts of the country that we would have never, ever seen if we hadn't done this. We would probably still be
in Greenville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Probably. And hey, something just to mention, as it turns out, Mr. Beast lived right in the neighborhood where we left from.
We just found that out recently.
Yeah. He probably was only a few doors down from us. But this was like in 2018 and 19, and he was just starting on his YouTube journey. But hey, I'm not going to miss the chance to mention Mr. Beast, and maybe the algorithm picks up on it. So,
that's an idea.
But that, like we said in the beginning of this video, it all starts with a change in your mindset. Don't let the things you own come around to owning you.
We've also learned that downsizing is an ongoing thing when you're in an RV. Of course, you still accumulate some things, but whenever we decide to get something, we have to decide to let go of something.
Yeah.
We have to say, this is how much storage space we have. And if we talk about buying something or getting something, okay, so where are we going to put it? That's the first thing we say.
Yeah, which is not something that we would have thought about in the duplex.
No.
It would have been, okay, yeah, you want to get that? Okay, let's get it.
So now we've had to think about things from big things to also things like how many dishes do we need? How many little kitchen appliances do we need? Do we really use this blender or whatever? And it's an ongoing thing. Even as you stay in an RV, you have to be mindful of your storage, your weight, and what things you actually use. We've gotten rid of things since we've been in the RV that we didn't use.
Things that we brought on board when we started, probably with a little bit of that mindset we spoke about earlier of, hey, I might need that someday. And realized, 6 months, a year down the road, we barely even remembered that it was there.
Yeah.
And it went.
So we hope this has helped you as you're thinking about the RV lifestyle, that, there are a lot of things to consider. There's a lot of work to be done in some cases, but it's worth it.
And one last little tip, just one last little thing. If you think that you need to keep a storage unit because, hey, I don't know if I'm going to like this RV lifestyle or full-time RVing, then my advice to you, do a bunch more test runs. Do weekends, do a week, do a month if you can. But don't go into the full-time RV life until you are saying to yourself, yeah, this is for me.
And yeah, I'm ready to get rid of all this stuff. Not going to store all my furniture somewhere just in case.
I want to thank you all for watching. We will see you again every Tuesday and Friday, TravelNurse Tuesdays, and the Roaming Gomes on Fridays. Until we see you, here's to hoping that we've been able to bring you less worry
and more wonder.